This cycle is going to be a mega cycle because now building and deploying a blockchain app is stupid easy. Bitsa.ai is all about, we believe every transaction can be built by AI and then soon AGI. We built a ChatGPT plugin, which now has converted into our wallet. So we're now seeing we can build almost any transaction through a single prompt. Being a technical founder now is critical to really building something of substantial value. I've been doing this for 5.5 years and I'm still pushing code, and it's a very big battle building something that you can't quite explain because you could see the future so clearly, but you can't explain it until you show people what it is.
Hi, this is Violeta Chekan, or VC. Indeed, I am a venture capitalist. I have 12 years in startups and early stage investing. And this is season 2 of Web2+1 with VC show. And each episode we interview top Web3 leaders. Also, if you like this type of content, please check out our partner, Epic Web3 Podcast. They also bringing founders to interview about leading Web3 protocols and products, and also talk about the future of blockchain. And today we have Nate Gaia, so CEO and co-founder of Meanbase. Meanbase is an NFT launchpad studio and also marketplace on Near. And they already fundraised more than 13.5 million already in total. So it's an amazing company. And Nate, thank you so much for joining this podcast. So we are going to talk with you about lots of different things.
Excited. Let's go. Shoot.
All right. So first of all, let's start maybe with your background a little bit, right? And also, I know that you are your background is in web development. So I would like to know what inspired you from web development maybe to create an NFT infrastructure as a startup.
Yeah, it's a long, rich history. So I'm a journalism major. When the financial crisis hit with the housing fallout in 2007, there were no journalism jobs, so I got a job at an ad agency, and that was when I started programming. And so I worked at this ad agency where there were over 150 employees, 85% of them were print media, and there was this tiny little web group of 5 people, and somehow I got thrown into their group building banner ads. So when the entire financial crisis hit, basically everyone got their jobs let go, almost the entire agency got swooped, and somehow our little interactive agency, tripled in size. So it was definitely seeing the death of print media, the billboards and all these different things, and the growth of why this programming thing is interesting. So ever since 2007 to now, I've probably committed code at least once a week, even still today as a founder. Still committing code. You can go to my GitHub and it's still cranking. So worked at Nike for a bit, pushed all of Nike to overhaul Nike ID to this new technology called React. They basically said, don't do that. It's still in beta. It's never going to go anywhere. But now we see it's growing significantly. And so there's kind of a pattern of always choosing the next technology. So worked at a startup called Bumped, where you swipe your credit card at Starbucks, we'll give you fractional shares of publicly traded stock as reward. Realized that technology should all just be a blockchain, not a clearing firm, because it's just messy. And then got into Bitcoin in 2014, and then ETH when it was $1.14, and then that's when I got to quit my job because earned enough funds to focus on building Meanbase. So 2018 won a hackathon at DevCon 4 for kind of the same sort of concept. Swipe your card, and then we'll actually send you an NFT based on the card swipe. And then, now here we're at, which is a whole different world. We raised a seed in 2020 and then a Series A in 2022. And now we're kind of really starting to see our hard work kicking into gear now. Hopefully that sums up a wild many years.
Yeah, so what inspired you exactly? Do you remember this moment where it's you decided, okay, we are going to, you mentioned hackathon, so was it just a project for hackathon, or it was some thought about okay, we need to create something like Mintbase?
No, I went by myself. Prague was probably one of the best dev cons that they've had and that I've been to. It was just such an amazing world. And I just went with a one-way ticket from the US and didn't plan on attending the hackathon, but I just sat down by myself and then just coded all through the next couple days. I think I was there till 2, 3 in the morning, and then would be back there at 7 in the morning, and then just cranked. Ended up winning first prize for the market go-to-market. They had like 3 big first prizes. One of them was like highly technical, and one of them was, mine was the marketplace. And so once that won, some VCs came up to me from Consensus and said, hey, you should come to Berlin and pitch us there. And so that's when I went to Berlin, met my wife, who is now my wife and co-founder, Caro. Stayed for 2 years in Berlin and, kind of grew the company that way.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on what is Mintbase, right?
Mintbase is a beast. We have a lot of stuff, almost too much stuff, right? There's the marketplace, there's the creator suite, you can deploy contracts, mint, list, add minters like a DAO. You can just do a whole bunch of stuff. We also have our developer tools where you can deploy your own NFT apps, AI apps together. We have a wallet and onboarding system. We built that mainly because we just got tired of doing activations and having issues with onboarding, whether we did it with Deadmau5 or with NFT NYC ticketing. Always kind of hit these like onboarding hurdles. So we built the wallet to solve that. And now we got to this new space where since August of last year, we built a ChatGPT plugin, which now has converted into our wallet. So we're now seeing we can build almost any transaction on Mintbase through a single prompt. So not going through a clunky UI, you can just go through a prompt and do everything. Mint, list, sweep floor. And now that we did that, we can say, okay, maybe we can create a DeFi swap mechanism. So you can see we're kind of getting into this new world where we've built way too much. And so what we're actually going to be announcing is that Mintbase will still be the marketplace, but there's going to be a new sort of product that's coming out that we're going to be bundling the wallet, the relayer, so you can actually sponsor transactions for your communities, whether you want to do ticketing, and our AI transaction building mechanism. All of this is going to get bundled under a product called Bitta. So you can go to bitta.ai and play around with that system, and I'm super excited to kick that thing off.
So how do you see the NFT market has been evolving until today? So it's like, how many years? It's right now like 5, right? So it's 5.5
years.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, the way you look at the evolution, not just in NFTs, but in everything, you see every single bull cycle, and you kind of look at it from a developer's point of view of like, what did we have to work with, right? 2013, 2014, we had Bitcoin. Really, you can't build anything off of that, especially then. The second big bull market, we had Ethereum, which basically was just an ICO mechanism. That's all we had. There was nothing really you could do as a developer on that from there. The third bull cycle, we had OpenSea, which now we can trade NFTs. The Graph protocol came out, so we can kind of build, some apps off of that. This cycle is going to be a mega cycle, I feel, because now building and deploying a blockchain app is stupid easy. The infrastructure is there. It's just kind of like when Amazon Web Services came out, right? You really couldn't build a website back in the day. You'd have to run your own server, figure out Nginx, and do these really complicated. Now any, Instagram guru can build a Web2 company, right? It's not hard. So now I think blockchain is getting not there yet, but still extremely technical. But we're kind of in this new phase where building, a ticketing system isn't really that, I wouldn't say hard, because it's still hard, but it's much more possible.
How do you differentiate yourself from the other NFT infrastructure tools and marketplaces?
I think our number one differentiator is that we're always ahead of the game a little bit. Everything we've ever done usually has never been done before. And so just like, for example, the first NFT ticketing ever was done for Berlin Blockchain Week, and that's what got us NFT NYC ticketing and so on. We're just always a bit ahead of the game. Our marketing hasn't followed with us, but we're always a little bit further along. For example, right now we've been really pioneering the transaction building in AI, right? We believe that any transaction can be built using AI. And so not only do we believe that, but we've been implementing this since August, right? And we're just now getting to this new space of realizing not only can we do exactly everything we can do on our marketplace with an AI agent, but we can start now getting into other worlds very quickly, like the DeFi swaps, being able to add external agents. We've just onboarded our first external agent this week called Potluck, and it's just going to go quick.
So why did you choose Near exactly?
Near, we switched in 2020. We were ahead of the game of a lot of players in the NFT space. It was a big decision, and instead of participating in the bull cycle like a lot of our partners like Rarible did, and they got a lot of growth from that, we put our heads down and we rebuilt everything. It wasn't easy. We had to rebuild the indexer, we had to basically help with the standards. But when we did that, we got to actually participate in forcing that royalties were part of the standards, right? Forcing a lot of these different mechanisms. So why Near? So one, decentralization is super important to us. And to me, sharding is the only way out of that. You can't have one machine running every single transaction in the entire world, right? That's the Solana play. Sharding is we have multiple different computers that can help deal with the transaction load, and that's where Near's heart is. And really, it's a big part of where I think Near is going to start coming in the forefront in all the clog that's happening in Solana. For example, we just created and launched this token drop mechanism, right? Near is getting clogged with a ton of transactions. It had 4 shards. We launched this, I thought, pretty exciting tool where anybody can just create a drop link that can be claimed in Instagram or whatever very easily. But the claiming took over 1.5 minutes to claim. For me, I just was so angry because it was like we chose Near because of the scaling. You might as well just do this on Ethereum. Yes, it's cheap and blah, 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 but if I can't claim instantly, then what's the point? And Solana is having the same issues. But how Near handled it, they just added 2 more shards within a month, and then all of a sudden our transactions were almost instant. So to me, that's solving the problem. And there's a way to solve it very quickly. They're moving to this new stage called dynamic resharding. Well, they'll be able to spin up shards and reduce shards depending on load. So let's say we want to do ticketing for a stadium. All of a sudden, people are checking in. You know, they're going to be able to spin up a shard and then delete the shard after that big activation is complete. Like, this is where I think mass adoption is actually going to come, rather than let's just have a bigger machine build this. Because if you think about it, a big machine costs money. And if you need a bigger machine to do more transactions, that costs more money. And the whole point of decentralization is that anyone should be able to help validate the network, right? So I should be able to go to AWS or run a simple box that helps validate the network rather than go spend $20,000 a month on some big compute engine.
And you mentioned about adoption, right? So the user experience, obviously, like it's super important. But what do you think at this moment? What is driving the NFTs adoption? So you are like focusing on NFTs, right? So what is right now the current?
We are focusing on NFTs, but we're also not. So we'll dive into what that means in a minute. Basically, the focus on NFTs was, can we solve this one big problem? And now we're realizing we can solve many more problems. The adoption of NFTs, we've done so many activations. We minted over 600,000 NFTs for Deadmau5. We've done beer airdropping at a music festival in Berlin. We've done so many activations, VIP parties where people were checking in automatically at the door. But we always ran into a lot of issues, right? The one is that only 4.2% of the human population owns cryptocurrency. So what if you're just going to expect your users to have that native token to, mint and redeem and do these sort of small transactions? So the real, I think, key to solving that is sponsored transactions through a relayer. So we are now offering ability for brands, games, and degens to be able to sponsor smart contracts and basically go to a granular level where they can just say, I want to only pay for this function, which is the minting and issuing, and this function, the redeeming. I don't want to pay for transferring. Because what if they want to take that NFT and trade it on a secondary market? Me as the brand just cares about these two different functions. So that's what our drops mechanism is. Mintbase is sponsoring that. We just did a big activation with ICC, the International Cricket Council, that just launched this week. They're using the relayer to pay for issuances of rewards. So you go through this system where you can get issued fungible tokens throughout the community, or get different badges of NFTs. All of that is using the Mintbase onboarding wallet, white labeled, and it's using it as the issuance. So none of those users need crypto. All of those transactions are happening by those users, because it's not a custodial system where someone behind the scenes are owning all of the wallets. It is the future.
So you mentioned several things that are very interesting. So first of all, you're saying you're not focusing on NFTs. So I would like what is exactly you're focusing on,
We are now focusing on a new product that Mintbase is launching called Bitte, like Bitteschön. Please, and if you've ever been to Germany, you hear it all the time. The Germans overuse it sometimes. Give me this, please. Can I have that, please? Please, please, please. So the company the new product, Bitte.ai, is basically taking all of our learnings from the transaction building mechanism that we've built using ChatGPT, DALL-E, Mintbase Indexer, and it's putting that on the forefront, and not just doing everything that you can do on the Mintbase NFT marketplace, mint, list, trade, add minters, all these different pieces, but now we can add other AI agents, including DeFi swaps, right? We just added that as our second AI agent. And then now we're opening it up to other agents to be able to create their own sort of blockchain transaction building mechanisms. So Bitte.ai is all about, we believe every transaction can be built by AI, and then soon AGI.
So who are the users of that? Exactly how do you envision that?
It can go super deep. So if we go back into the NFT space, we believe everything is going to be tokenized. Receipts, rewards, inventory, everything is going to be tokenized. So if you look at a system today, what can we do? If we go to a PFP contract, you can say, give me all of the PFPs with 3D glasses and a rainbow tie, right? That we can do today. You hit execute, you now see all little NFTs show up with these sort of attributes. There's no reason why I can't create an AI agent that uploads all of LVMH's inventory sheets, mass mint those things, and then be able to say, okay, in the fall 2024 runway show, I'd like to have the red dress by the third fashion model. Like these sort of things. Being able to interact with digital assets and peg those to real assets is the future.
I would love to hear more about use cases.
The use cases it's sometimes I feel a bit like Sisyphus. Are you familiar with Sisyphus? He's the Greek god who is pushing a giant boulder up a hill. And then when he pushes the boulder up the hill, the boulder keeps falling on him and he keeps pushing it up and down, up and down. So the use cases in the NFT marketplace world is tough, right? We know digital assets are going to be everywhere in the future, right? But right now it's incredibly difficult to really wrap your head around what that picture is, because we haven't solved a lot of the other problems. The relayer is a problem solver. The wallet is a problem solver. All these mechanics are being built. And so, I mean, to be completely honest, there aren't a ton of real use cases out there today. It's more of knowing where the future is heading. I mean, today we have PFPs, right? They're being bought, sold, and traded on Mintbase, on the other different marketplaces. But the true intrinsic value NFTs, I don't think we're there yet, right? It's just about chiseling away at all these little things. Like I said, all these different bull markets that we've had, we're kind of just getting to this new frontier where now we can go to these LVMHs and say, look, in 2 days of development time, you can start building something incredibly powerful. Let's go.
So you're mentioning that in the next bull run, you expect more use cases. That's what you're saying. This
bull run is going to be about two things. It's going to be about meme coins still, and that's an interesting story. I don't know if you saw Hasib's Twitter thread from Dragonfly. he's been basically tracking all the tokens, right? And not many of them are doing well. They're all kind of sliding in the downward trend, and there's a reason behind that. It's because basically a lot of these projects go out, raise VC money, and they go through this playbook. They hire KOLs, they unlock their VCs, they dump on the token, and within 3 months, and retail gets slaughtered, right? Retail is now seeing what the game is, and they're now switching to the meme tokens, realizing that they aren't VC backed and that anybody can basically fork a meme token and run with it. So it's really about protecting retail, right? Being able to know that what you're building has value, and you do that by shipping constant value day after day after day.
So can you talk about that a little bit, how the normal creator can use your platform? So for example, I am a creator, right? So I am, I'm having this podcast, right? I'm publishing lots of video content. I publish also like lots of text as well, like, like on Twitter as well, but also like on different other platforms. So how can like the normal creator can use your platform?
Sure. So we kind of look at the follower model, right? That's one of the most important features of our society today. It's how many followers do I have? How do I connect with those followers? How do I build my follower group? But what if everyone who claims one of your digital assets that you can create quite easily claims one of your NFTs through either Instagram, through a story because they paid attention to your story, you want to reward that user? You get a nice new follower list of all the people who actually claim that NFT. And you can issue rewards to them anytime you want, whether you send them fungible tokens or not. I mean, it's easier to show the system. Maybe we make a picture of a cat holding a sign saying hello VC with AI using a phone and see how that works.
Let's do this, yeah?
Okay, let's see it in action. So,
okay.
You go into the Mintbase wallet, you can just hit the AI tab. And then let's say we want to create a drop link of a cat holding a sign saying hello VC. So we hit send. So we're doing a lot of things behind the scenes right now. ChatGPT is building a transaction. DALL-E is generating the image. Once that image gets generated, we then upload that to another blockchain called Arweave, which is decentralized. No one can take this picture down. No one can edit it once it's been created. And then once all those things have been put together, then we build the transaction. So we can see, here's my cat that's been created.
Oh, awesome.
Hello VC. And then we can go ahead and click this, and now here is your link. So you can share this. Let's hit copy link. We can mint the NFT if we want. So this is what your users would see. So the most important thing, this is also passkey signature. So I've now signed the message, and it's using the relayer to run the transaction. So when you send this link to your friends, they won't have to pay or need Near token to be able to claim this. So
that's awesome, actually, yeah.
So now I own the NFT, and again, there's no install. So if you send this to Instagram, they won't have to go install MetaMask or download a wallet. It's all web-based, and it's non-custodial because it's saving the private key to your passkey. So it's
awesome.
It's a lot of engineering. If you want to create your own token drop with your own image, you can just come in here. Upload an image. Let's say, I don't know, this one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So then you can add the name to it, VC, my token VC drop, frop, and then give it a custom URL. Let's say VC2. And then so you'll be able to switch whatever smart contract you want. The one that's paid for right now is the drops. If you want to run it on your own smart contract, you can actually pay for these on your own. So that means you can get listed onto DApp Radar and so on.
Awesome. So it's like literally like in 1 minute you create everything.
Yep.
It's awesome, awesome. Yeah, so congratulations with such amazing platform. So do you think that these AI features will be used by many creators?
I think it's going to go beyond, like, what is a creator, right? You think of just like the artist. Like, to me, a creator is anyone who creates something, right? So if you look at sites like Groupon, you know, small businesses wanting to give offerings of things, maybe it's an appetizer at their restaurant, that's creating something. Why can't you take a photo of your appetizer and be able to issue that out as a reward for people watching your Instagram and being able to claim that at your restaurant, right? So to me, this is sort of the ability to issue and trade like real assets. Like, it's that easy. All right, here's an appetizer that I'm offering. Anyone who redeems this can get that free appetizer. Once they claim it, let's say someone doesn't really want that appetizer, they can sell it on a secondary market and actually make funds from that. And then the issuer can get royalties based off of that. Or if you want to gift your appetizer to your friend, you could send that NFT to your friend just like a text message. Bitta is going to play a massive role in our future. We don't even know where it's going to head. Sometimes as an engineer, you kind of have to start on something, and once you've reached that level, it then opens the doors to these 50 other things. Like, I did not see us creating DeFi swaps, and it really wasn't that hard, right? Once we have this sort of foundation of the AI transaction building, and I mean, all of blockchain, what is it? It's just building transactions. Building transactions is just a group of texts that you throw into a blockchain, right? I want to buy this NFT ID from this smart contract on this chain. If we can just basically aggregate those three elements, every transaction is possible. So where we're heading is I think, extremely uncharted greenfield world. And I've spoke with over 15 VCs, and none of them have seen a project this far along that actually has something in production doing these sort of things.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. And being an engineer yourself, right? So what is your role as being a CEO and founder of the Meanbase? So how is it important from your point of view to be an engineer and understanding all of these technical details?
Yeah, when you look at the early 2000s, a lot of the big companies that exploded, the founders were engineers, right? Microsoft, you got Bill Gates, you've got, you've got Apple, you've got Facebook, MySpace. But MySpace was founded by business-heavy people from the top down, right? Facebook, Zuckerberg was a hardcore engineer from the beginning. And to me, I think we're in the same sort of time frame. It's the fact that everything we're doing today is really, really complicated. Who to partner with, what technologies to use, where to spend the engineering time. There's so many decisions happening every day. It's the same time as back then. And so I feel like being a technical founder now is critical to really building something of substantial value. I think you see a lot of like popular companies that are out right now, but when you really drill down into the value that they're producing, it's really, really tricky.
Yeah, blockchain, I think, is one of the most complex right now, right, industries. So like without the technical background, like it's very difficult, I think, to understand this.
And combining AI into it is a very interesting crux. It's knowing, now I'm kind of pulling myself out of the code, but knowing, delegating and enabling the team who you feel also has that heavy technical chops is super important.
Do you choose also investors who have this technical background? What is your process to choose your investors?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's really been about sort of intros from other investors. The very first round was incredibly difficult. We kicked off our round in 2020 when COVID just began. We felt like we were on top of the world because we did NFT ticketing for NFT NYC in 2020. We thought, finally, we have something to show. And the day we drove up to San Francisco with a week packed filled with VC meetings, all of San Francisco just collapsed. They shut down the streets that day, and all those VC meetings just got wiped. So we had to do our raise entirely off of Zoom, and basically that took us almost 12 months to close. And that was before the big OpenSea hype, right? So everyone still thought NFTs were BS and that there was no future for it. So our first major check was Sino Global Capital, which is now Rise. They believed in us, and that kind of grew from there. Then Robbie from Animoca also did an investment in our seed, and then we were able to close that after a lot of grinding. So it's right now, the investors that we're looking for are use case oriented. So the product is there. Now we need to get those connections with forward-thinking brands that see that we've solved a lot of the big hurdles that we can actually start doing use case implementation. So that's kind of the focus of a round, I guess, for investors.
So it's basically the investors who more like connected in the real world, right?
Yes, and now we've built the technology that allows us to do that. We could put QR codes to claim NFTs on billboards or on Netflix movies or on, now we're kind of entering a new chapter where we don't have to specifically focus on the blockchain native groups, which is again 4.2% of the human population.
How do you actually manage your time? Like in terms of so as a founder, you need to fundraise, then you're a technical founder as well. So you need to focus on the product as well and oversee where are you going, right? And the roadmap. And then massive traveling, I guess, lots of meetings, and then family as well. So how do you juggle everything of that?
Yeah, we don't do the conference circuit as much. I don't find a significant there isn't a ton of value in conferences to some degree. Like YC put out a things not to do. One of their top 3, I think, in the list was don't go to conferences. So really, it's about delivering high quality products and innovating and getting buzz surrounded around the innovation. That has been our play. It's just constantly building and innovating and lowering the barriers for entry. And the balance is not easy, I will say. Just had a baby, second kid, and he's a beautiful little kid, and he's very quiet and he sleeps. But yeah, it's a challenge managing the team of 17 and the other worlds that we're now slowly getting into. But meditation, you got to get into meditation and peace.
So you mentioned don't go to conferences. What are the other 2?
Oh, I don't know what the other top ones were. It was like a list of 10. There's a lot of things that you should and shouldn't do. Yeah, don't buy a $20,000 booth at a conference thinking that's going to save your whole life. It's a grind, right? It's like we've been doing this for 5.5 years, and I'm still pushing code, and it's a very, very big battle building something that you can't quite explain because you could see the future so clearly and you've seen it so early, but you can't explain it until you show people what it is. So a lot of my calls aren't just about doing a pitch. I have a QR code up and I want folks to use the technology. I want the light to go off when they say, okay, I get where this is heading. And that's sort of the key.
And so what should you do and what you shouldn't do as a founder in Web3?
Oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you just know that it's a long game. What you should do? Oh, that's a meditate. Learn to meditate. Find some peace of mind. Mental health is critical. Keep that, if you pay the extra money to get the rock climbing gym membership or go surf, just keep the balance because everyone will tell you you're wrong all the time. It is brutal. It's the most brutal thing a human can go through, but I think it's worth it.
How many no's do you get?
No's? Just in reality you really learn to never celebrate until something is either completely deployed and activated or if the funds are in the account or whatever. Because even though you get these wins, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters until, I mean, you could be building up to an activation and spending a lot of time in engineering power, and then the day before they pull it just for whatever reason, that's completely out of your control. So it's don't take those as as it's over. Just breathe and keep pushing.
And meditate.
Meditate.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Yeah, I can relate as well to many of these things. Like, don't celebrate, and at some point, like, as a venture capitalist, you just also becomes like very skeptical in many things. Like, you just like, you cannot just like celebrate and chill. It's like, and we wait for exit for a really long time as founders as well, right? And as VCs as well. So you are like in this long-term marriage with the founder for like many years usually.
Yeah, it's a thing, but you're not alone. I mean, everybody's going through, when we think of blockchain and people ask, what are the use cases? What are people doing now? I remember listening to an Epicenter podcast maybe a couple months ago. I don't know if you're familiar with Epicenter. It's one of the original podcasts with Brian, folks from the Cosmos team. They started in like 2013. They've been doing weekly podcasts ever since then. They just did a 10-year anniversary, and they were all just like talking with each other in the most depressing tone of like, well, I really thought at this point, we'd have mass adoption and we'd be kicking butt and we'd be... So the point is we're not there yet, right? Like, you just have to see all the incremental successes. Nobody really has product market fit except for maybe Warpcast, and Farcaster, and a few of these really big exchanges are finding the wins. But it's we're all getting there if you feel like you're on the right path.
Yeah, you mentioned about like everyone was thinking that we will be right now in mass adoption. Yeah, and it's like once you like exactly you see the future like in your head, but like where like you were trying to head, but then this like timeline is very difficult to manage sometimes, and sometimes it's not even in your control, right?
Yeah, you might have the best idea in the world, but if you can't outlast where we're heading, then you're really not in a good place, right? Mintbase has been extremely good at managing capital. We still have $4.5 million in the bank of an $8.5 million raise with a $5 million grants program. So that's surviving bear markets, exchange collapses, stablecoin collapses. Like, for us, we're not gambling with the funds. We're slow and steady wins the race. Until we see NFTs everywhere, or wherever our AI system leads us to, that's when we realize we've lost the race. But right now we're still in the Sahara Desert, going on the run, drinking our water.
Awesome. Let's do the fun part. So here's, I prepared something. Okay, so here is it's a cards. So you can see there is like a little bit of blockchain. I designed it, everything myself. By the way, that could be an NFT.
Sure.
That could be. So here's like 50, so it's 54 cards, 52 questions. Yes, I prepared 52 questions.
Oh, no.
And there is like 2 jokers. Okay, so if you pull out the joker, it will be a little surprise for you.
Okay.
But yeah.
Wait, we're going to go through 52 questions? I'm going to pull out too. Oh my goodness. It's like, all right, settle up.
I wish we would have so much of time and good
luck. Yeah. Okay.
But we'll just we'll see how many we will pull. Okay, so I'm just mixing it up. So I don't know which ones you will.
That's the one. I want that one.
You want that one? Okay, let's do this one. Okay, so.
All right, who did you want to be when you were a child? Firefighter. That's easy. So I used to do...
Firefighter.
Yeah, I actually was a wildland firefighter, and I was like a little Boy Scout firefighter. They have firefighting for Boy Scouts where you get to go to the engines and learn the tools and throw a bunch of ladders up. And in college, I got through college because I did wildland firefighting. So I actually had a big chainsaw and walked around on, big hills, cutting trees down, and, smelling gas all day and getting dumped on by helicopters and big airplanes. And
wow. That's unexpected.
Yeah. But then I went to South Africa on an internship at a scuba shop of all places. And then that's when I was like, wow, the world is way bigger than firefighting. There's so much more out there because firefighters, they know where they're going to be like 5 years from now, right? Their schedule is all pinged in. The agencies tell you which station you're at, years in advance. So I was like, yeah, that's not for me.
Oh, awesome. So you become a founder.
Yep.
Instead. Okay, so let's do then the second question. Okay, so choose.
Let's go here. How many shades of pink do you know? How many shades of pink do I know? Pink and then less pink. Not as pink. Lighter pink. There's probably lots of. My color game is not good, so it's a good way to end it.
Yeah, I said this is fun part, right?
Rose pink, is that a thing?
So
Petal
rose,
pink.
fuchsia, like I don't even know, to be honest. So I'm a girl. I don't know so many pink shadows, to be honest.
I've learned rosé. I always thought rosé was too feminine of a drink for so many years, and then I tried it. I'm like, this is amazing. Why have I outcasted this beautiful drink for so many years? Because I always thought it was like a sweet, fruity drink, but it's delicious.
Yeah, but it's something I think about Portugal. Like being in Portugal and drinking the Portuguese wine. This is incredible. I love it.
Super underrated wine.
Yeah.
This place is, I was always a beer drinker coming from Oregon, and now there's not really any good beer here. So, it's really hard to
find. You were left with no choice.
So I just got into one, and now I go back to Oregon or the U.S., and I get the option to have an IPA, and sometimes I'm like, kind of want a Portuguese wine.
All right, so the last question. Let's do this.
Let's go. What was your first job, and what did you learn from it? Let's see. My first job, does that mean making money from something?
Exactly. Yeah, job is making money.
So I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and I would steal beer from my dad and take that to the golf courses, and because he would buy a ton of beer, like massive Costco style, and I'd put them in coolers, and I'd sit there and wait for the golfers to go by, and then I would sell them a can of beer for $1. And so it was 100% profit. As long as I didn't take too much of the beer, everybody won. So the golf drive, 10 years old, you don't really know. You're just selling beer for...
Awesome.
That's the entrepreneurialist spirit.
Yeah, so you had entrepreneurial spirit from really small age.
Maybe not 10, probably more 13 or 14, actually. Yeah.
Let's finish with the advice to inspiring next leaders in the Web3 space.
Well, the advice, it's not an easy one. So my biggest advice is if you decide to create a company and do your own thing, this is going to sound kind of dark, but you just have to know that no one's going to care. No one cares about your company. No one cares about you. No one cares to help you. It's really, you're on your own. Maybe they'll care for a month or two, but when you really need them, they won't be there. And you just have to know that you're doing this on your own. And you got to push through no matter what. It's really only up to you to get shit done, and no one cares. So you have to make them care by basically just brute force, a lot of grind, little baby successes, and then failures, and then a little more successes, and then one day.
Yeah. Just like being like 95% of fail and 95 like attempts of fail and 100 or 98 success. So just a little bit higher, and then you're on the good track, right?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much. It was amazing conversation. So very, very great and inspirational. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I just would like to ask you to check out the links below and follow Meanbase, and also check out the new product Bitter AI, which is incredible. And also please follow Nate and this podcast. Please put the like if you like this type of content, and also Please do share with your followers if you think this content will be relevant with them. Thank you so much.